Hey there, it's John from Heroes and Legends, and today we got some huge news coming out of WotC regarding a few products, the big ones being Modern Masters 2017 and Amonkhet. Now, Modern Masters 2017, I think a lot of us expected to hear something maybe today or sometime this week, considering the release is coming very, very soon at this point, and we've heard nothing about the set. So that maybe wasn't a huge surprise. We did get some packaging, which did confirm at least a few cards in the set. We'll take a closer look at that. But we also got a fair amount of information on Amonkhet, which surprised me a little bit how much we saw. And the biggest news coming out of that, which we'll talk about in a little more detail in a moment, is full art basic lands in Amonkhet. Very, very exciting. Really happy to see them. And we got to see one of each. Of course, the island's on the screen there, but we'll take a closer look at that and the other four in just a moment. Quickly before we get started though, if you check out the description below, you'll find a link to our Amazon affiliate store. Any purchases you make through any of those links, a small percentage will come back to help support the channel. Always appreciated. Also, you'll find links to our Patreon page, another way to help us keep doing what we're doing. You'll find some updated rewards and goals there and some detailed information on how you can get your hands on an exclusive Heroes and Legends classic art angel token like you see on the screen here. Having said that, let's get into the new information for today from Wizards directly, and we're going to start off with Little Modern Masters packaging. First off, we have the booster box itself. We're going to take a closer look at the packaging in just a moment, but I wanted you to take in the art on the booster box and the figure on the box. I'm going to speculate a little bit on who I might think that is in just a moment. Next, we have the three booster packs, and you see the art there up close. And as you can tell, these are three cards that we're already familiar with. So more on that in just a few moments. We'll talk about those cards. So at least we have three cards definitely confirmed. As far as the box art goes, I feel like that's probably Snapcaster Mage. And a couple of reasons for that. First off, you see this figure displayed prominently on the box. We know Snapcaster has to be in the set, right? I mean, they couldn't not put Snapcaster in the set. They're going to Innistrad in Modern Masters for the first time. You just couldn't leave this card out. And we don't know if it's going to be a rare or a mythic yet, but at this point, I'm fairly certain it should be there. The character on the box has kind of lightning snapping around their fingers. It just kind of feels like it's probably Snapcaster. I was assuming we would get the promo art for Snapcaster, but new art is fine by me. It actually looks pretty cool. Now let's take a look at the three cards that are confirmed based off the packaging. And the first one is Griselbrand. And I think this is kind of a no-brainer. I feel like a lot of folks were assuming this would be in there just simply because, again, we're going to the Innistrad block for the first time in Modern Masters. This is a pretty key card. This isn't a card that sees widespread Modern play, but it is a key card in a rather big deck, and that's the Vengeance decks. There's a few variants of them, but pretty much Griselbrand's a big part of all of them, and has decent value to it. I mean, it's a $12, $13 card. You have to expect that it will go down a little bit now that this announcement has been made. But at least it is a card that has some fair value attached to it too. The next one is Domri Raid, and this one may be a little more surprising for folks. It is a Planeswalker, so you gotta assume it's gonna be at Mythic. Value-wise, it's not super high. I mean, you're looking at a $6, $7 card right here, and that's prior to this announcement happening. And now that it's being reprinted and more are going to get into circulation, this card's probably going to take a pretty significant hit pretty quick. As far as Modern play goes, it does see some play in Zoo decks. However, Zoo decks aren't super popular right now in the current meta, so you don't see a whole lot of Domris out there in the field, although it does exist. Interesting inclusion. Some people are already calling this the Comet Storm of the set. I do think it's better than Comet Storm. I will give it that. It is a Planeswalker at least, and it's a really cool casual or commander card, if nothing else. But yeah, value-wise, you do have to start to think about, if I'm spending $10 for a pack of Modern Masters, am I going to get at least close to that value back? And if you get this as your mythic rare, that might not always feel great if the value of this card is much lower than the $10. So just something to think about there. Thirdly, we have Stoic Angel. Now, this is kind of a fan favorite card. It has some incredible art on it. It never has seen a reprint, so it is kind of cool to get it. But value-wise, it's only $1 or $2 to pick these things up, so it's very low value. My assumption will be this will most likely be a rare, although I guess we'll wait and see for confirmation on that. And again, it just feels a little awkward if this is your rare in a $10 pack, quite honestly. Now, as far as Modern play goes, this sees a tad bit of Modern play. Some of those classic Bant decks will run a copy of this. But again, right now in the meta, you don't see a lot of those decks out there. So it's not a very popular Modern card, but it it at least kind of passes the test, if nothing else. Now, at the end of the day, I guess some of these lower value rares or mythic rares, they can make up for that by having really good uncommons and commons in the packs that can really at least offset the lower valued rares a little bit. So hopefully we'll see some of that next week. All right, let's talk about Arch Enemy Knucklebolus just real quick here. They didn't show us a whole lot, but they did show us the packaging, and the package is actually pretty striking. I like the full art just right on the front like that. It looks really cool, and it will stand out in places like your Targets and your Walmarts, and that's what they try to do a lot of times with these products. So I think they did a good job there. I mean, we'll wait and see what cards and stuff are included, right? But at least so far, I think they're off to a good start. Now let's move on to Amonkhet, and first off, we'll look at some art that they showed us from the set. Now the first piece of art you've been looking at, it's been in the background, and it appears that they've given us perhaps the 5 gods as well as some new Planeswalker art. So if this is one of the gods, I'm thinking maybe this is the white god, assuming they're monocolor. I mean, they could be multicolor as well, but if they are monocolor, I feel like this one, especially with that whitish, grayish background, just feels very white to me. This next one feels like perhaps it's the blue god. Again, you kind of have a bluish hue to it, and with the flying aspect, it just kind of feels very blue. Now the next couple I was a little unsure of. I kind of pegged this one for black because of the black clouds in the background kind of covering the sun, but there is some reddish hue to it as well. So this could be black or red. I'm going to just go with black right now. And of course, this is the antithesis of the last one. It has a lot of red hues in the background in those clouds, but it also has black hues, and this does look a lot like Anubis, and you would think Anubis would be aligned with black if they wanted to stick very close, at least, to the Egyptian lore, but at the same time, they don't necessarily have to, so I guess we'll wait and see. And finally, this one kind of feels green to me, has a little bit of a green hue to the picture as well, and the green eyes. Alright, we have some Planeswalkers to look at. We got Gideon here, so we know he'll be on the plane. This is maybe my favorite piece of art just because it cracks me up. It's kind of like a Cleopatra version of Liliana. She's sitting in that big cushy chair being fanned with the peacock feathers, eating the grapes. This is awesome. I don't know what card this is going to be on, but this is fantastic. Great piece of art. And finally, we have Nissa, so we know Nissa will be on the plane as well. And let's move on to some packaging. So we get the bundle pack. One thing I will say, I mentioned at the top of the show, and we'll look at them in just a second, we do have full art lands in Amonkhet, so don't overpay for these bundle packs. I'll tell you right now. We saw what happened with Zendikar, right? Everybody freaked out about getting as much full art land as they could when they dropped the set like the first week, and folks were really overpaying for these bundle packs. Don't do it. We're swimming in Zendikar lands now. We'll be swimming in Amonkhet lands, I promise you. So don't overpay. Also, we see the pre-release pack here on the left side. It looks a little more like the Zendikar ones with the taller box as opposed to the wider box that we saw in Kaladesh, but I'm pretty sure it's basically the same idea. We have some booster packs to look at here, and we see one of the potential gods that we saw earlier in the middle there, as well as a Sphinx, and looks like some different versions of warriors, male, female, and maybe a jackal warrior. We also got the Planeswalker decks. Now, they didn't show us the actual Planeswalker cards, just the art on them. We'll take a closer look quickly at those. We have Gideon, of course, and Liliana. Okay, now for the biggest news to come out of Amonkhet, maybe the biggest news to come out today, quite honestly, and that's the full art basic lands. There's 5 that we have to look at. They showed us 1 of each, much like Zendikar. I'm sure there'll be many versions of each one, but let's look at what we got so far. First one here is the planes. Now, they all look incredible, and I'm just so happy that they did this in general. First off, you're going to notice, at least this cycle, they all have the Knucklebolus spires in the background. Looks really cool, and I'm just glad we're getting full art basic lands again. I know they were trying to hold that back as a Zendikar thing, but now we've been to Zendikar. I don't think we're going back to Zendikar anytime soon, so having at least one other plane that will give us full art basic lands, this time being Amonkhet, I think is really nice. But quite honestly, what I'd like to see is them just do this for every plane going forward. Like, I don't think it needs to be a special Zendikar thing anymore, because like I said, Zendikar is not going to show up for a while now. Let's just give players what they want. People love these lands. They're really striking. They make the game look interesting and more interesting. So hopefully this is a trend of things to come in the future. But anyway, the Plains looks amazing. The island, we saw that at the top of the show at the title card, but incredible. There's the swamp. The mountains. And finally, the forest. So that's a lot of information to take in today. Like, they gave us a lot of stuff, and I was really surprised by the Amonkhet information. Just the amount of it, and the full art lands were incredible. I think that was amazing. As far as Modern Masters goes, official spoilers begin next week, a week from today, so we'll be covering those as they come out. And early on, I don't feel like that first announcement was the big punch that it really could have been. I mean, in the past, like, look at Eternal Masters. They dropped Force of Will on us, right? Now, granted, there were a lot of big cards in that set, but I feel like, I don't know. Granted, they were just showing us the packaging and sort of teasing us a little bit. They haven't actually shown any cards officially yet. So maybe I should cut them some slack there, but I feel like we needed like that big punch, like show us the Liliana and the Snapcaster or something like that today, right? And get us excited for next week. Maybe they'll do that tomorrow or another day. If they do, of course, we'll report it to y'all. But until then, that's what we have for today. Thank you for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, and have a great day. Hey, thanks for watching. This video is made possible by the generous support of viewers like you on Patreon. Check out the description below for links to our Patreon page as well as our Amazon affiliate store, where a small percentage of all sales will also help support the channel. Finally, if you haven't had a chance yet to subscribe, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any new videos on Heroes and Legends. Talk to you again soon, and have a great day.